Welcome to the very first episode. And when I say first episode, yes, you might have been listening to me for some time, which was recently called the Scalable Growth Podcast, but we've now made a big change to our podcast. The podcast is changing name to the How to Sell Podcast. So welcome. This is our very first episode in its new format. But hang on, Dave, are you sorry for my listeners? I got another guy on this
What do
session.
you
I don't know what he's doing here.
why are you on
Dave,
my
you're the producer, mate. You meant to cut your camera off.
No, I'm on video.
Why are you on the video? This is my
My
podcast.
podcast. My podcast.
Hang on, this is the How to Sell podcast by Luigi Prestinenzi.
And Dave Fastuca.
What do you mean?
Wasn't I starting this podcast? What are you doing on this podcast?
Mate, this is my 211th podcast. You're sorry, listeners. This is something. We got technical difficulties here. For some reason, my business partner at Growth Forum thinks he's going to jump in onto a very successful podcast.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm doing.
Well, everyone, welcome to the very first episode. I am joined by a guy that he's also a bearded fella, but his beard is not even as good as mine. And his name is David Fastuca. Welcome, David, to the How to Sell podcast.
It is an absolute pleasure. After 211 episodes, it's getting an upgrade by someone much more handsome. So awesome. Awesome to be here.
Well, it is pretty cool. And I think, maybe this is the first time you're jumping on air with us. Hey, I know we're co-hosting this together and we're going to be bringing some incredible content pieces to life, but maybe you want to tell our audience who you are, how do we know each other, and why we've decided to join forces and create something really magical and special together.
Awesome segue, Luis. So we've known each other for too long now, since we were little kids playing football in our local town.
And I was the better footballer, right?
You're goalie because you couldn't play outfield, but we'll leave it at that. I've been busy running different businesses. Most notable is Locomote, which were a tech company. We started it, co-founded it with my cousin, grew it into quite a large company, 150 people, doing excess of 50 mil revenue plus, exited. And then we bought it back during COVID, rebuilt it again, got investment for that, built the team out, scaled that up, and over the last probably 12 to 18 months, sort of fell out of love with the business travel game. It was a business travel technology business. We got reconnected. You actually were coaching me in Locomotive, the only salesperson at the time. Built up a crazy pipeline. I think it was in excess of $1.45 billion of pipeline within there during COVID time as well, which was, you think about what got hit hardest during COVID.
Yeah,
I don't think travel, you couldn't travel. Two, you had all the travel companies were giving credits and money back. So it was a double whack. And who had appetite for change? So during that time, you were still able to guide me on the right path onto how to generate that want within the business to be a catalyst for change. So look, I was really inspired by that, by your teachings, and I thought what you started to do within your own space could be something that could benefit millions of people worldwide. And during that time, falling out of love with Locomote, built the team up there where they could be self-sufficient. And then I thought it was time that we joined forces to create something unique, create something special, and have a big impact in this space. Pardon the interruption, but I have to let you know about this free resource. The Growth Forum newsletter has over 10,000 subscribers that are learning how to sell. Each and every week, we send you tips, strategies, and also some tools and tech on how to achieve the most out of your sales pipeline. If you're ready to level up, sign up for free at growforum.io/newsletter and get the first issue this week.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty fortuitous how it happened, right? And I think, and this is why I think it's really interesting that we are coming together to produce this content, because traditionally you were always in a different seat, right? You're in that marketing seat, the technology seat. And when you initially bought back Locomote, the second time you got back involved and you bought it, you then moved into the sales seat, and that was a really interesting time because you went from somebody that was really proficient in marketing, quite skilled. You scaled a business, you sold it, for a substantial amount of money to a listed firm in Europe, to then move into a role where you were kind of outside of your comfort zone, right? And you learn a lot through the process. So I'm really excited about coming together, having a co-host, and really building on the foundations of how to sell, but not just how to sell in general. And this is what's also excited me, Dave, is we're going to go down the path of interviewing key roles and figuring out how do enablement folks buy, how do CFOs buy, how do CMOs, and you can see where we're going with this, right? So, and what are some of the other content pieces that we're going to build on the back of these episodes?
There's going to be a lot coming from here. So, like you mentioned there, we're going to be talking to different personas and how they buy. We're going to be asking them the questions. Where do they spend their time?
Mm,
What do they look for when they're buying from a vendor? So it's going to apply to sellers. It's going to be applied to CEOs and founders, to marketers, anyone
mm,
that's dealing with trying to attract change within another organization they're trying to sell to is going to get value from these episodes.
yeah.
So the premise for what we're doing is to build a persona catalog across all different realms and different industries, and then have a playbook based upon that as well. So if
Yeah.
you sell to procurement, there's going to be a range of procurement based interviews on how to sell to them and selling different things
Mhm.
through different levels of procurement. And then a playbook on how to sell to them and to know where they spend their time, where they're to get their research, and how to actually talk to them. So, look, I
Mm.
wish I had this back when I was
Yeah.
selling, services back in the day and technology, because it just helped me focus my efforts, time, and budget
Mm.
to the things that actually matter and the things that actually
Yeah.
move. So I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose what can outside of the playbooks and stuff, what else can our listeners expect to get from these episodes and these content pillars? And I know that we've spoken about live events. Talk to us a bit about how we'll engage and connect live events to the podcast and the topics that we're jumping on.
Yeah, so great segue. So we're going to be bringing in specialist experts in different areas. So whether it's cold calling, whether it's your outreach sequencing, we're going to bring in different experts from different areas on a collective call like this, and just have a panelist typed
Mm.
conversation. We can dive deep into what has worked, but most importantly, what hasn't worked. You always
Mm.
hear about everyone's successes, but we want to dive deep into where people have fought over. Where have they
Yeah.
spent $1 million on X and got no revenue from that? So others can learn from those mistakes, navigate those, and then jump onto things that actually work in as well. And then
Yeah.
on the flip side, I'm going to be interviewing you on how you
Yeah.
would sell to this persona, right? So while you'll be leading, most of the conversation with the particular buyer, then it'll be like that special commentary on the second
Yeah.
episode of each, persona talk that we have, where you and I have a discussion and we talk about, how would you attract this? How would you approach when talking to this particular persona?
Mm.
And we almost build a framework on that episode itself. Do you have a great product but are struggling to reach more customers? Are you spending hours on sales activities that aren't generating results, leaving you feeling frustrated and discouraged? The Sales OS program is a step-by-step operating system that will help you slash your selling hours in half while rapidly growing your revenue. In under just 2 weeks, you can be well on your way to creating predictable revenue. In Sales OS, we'll show you how to build predictable sales pipeline, build lasting relationships with your customers, and sell more in less time. The art of negotiation and motivating and leading a successful sales team. If this sounds like something that you need in your business, visit growforum.io/sales and apply to see if you have the right mindset to achieve predictable revenue. The Sales OS program is your ticket to predictable revenue. Don't wait any longer, apply today.
Yeah. So this is going to be awesome, and this is why, like, you know, Dave and I have really tried to think about how can we really turn the content into actionable insight that you can use to create more pipeline and ultimately close more deals. Because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I mean, already today I've listened to 2 podcasts, and sometimes I go, "This is awesome," but then I move on to the next one. And before I
Yeah.
know it, I haven't even executed the first part, Dave. So this is why I'm so excited about the way in which we are going to be creating this content, because we can then take the learnings from the podcast and then put it into a framework that our listeners can actually execute on. And it's practitioner stuff as well. And this is what's going to be really key. This is not theoretical stuff. This is not, this is pie in the sky. This is how, somebody from a world that hasn't done this for many, many years. This is stuff coming from practitioners. We're carrying a bag, we're closing deals, you're running marketing campaigns, you're seeing both ends of the funnel. So this is why this particular type of segment is going to be really, really exciting. So, Dave, I'm really excited to be doing this with you. For our listeners, we've got our first lot of recordings happening tomorrow. So next week, each and every week, dial in. We've got really good frequency. We're doing it across. What are the channels that we are leveraging to promote the podcast, Dave?
So we're going to be going hard on YouTube. There's going to be a lot of great video content on there. Obviously, on your podcast, on your favorite podcast player, we're going to be live across there. LinkedIn, we're quite heavy on, and also Twitter. So make sure to follow us and catch us on those channels.
Awesome. And so if they haven't connected with you, check out the show notes, but go to Dave Fastuca on LinkedIn. And obviously, if you haven't connected with me yet, please connect with me. But just remember, folks, even though Dave looks older, he's actually younger than me. And he's got more grey. See, Dave, I've only got a few grey hairs in my beard, and you've
This is
got
what
lots
happens
of
when you got 3 kids, mate. 3 kids, they're driving me nuts.
3 kids.
They're beautiful.
Yes. Well, folks, I'm very excited. Dave, thanks for joining me on this incredible journey. At the
Pleasure.
211th episode, we've been going for a number of years. And, when I reflect and look back at some of the milestones we've had on our podcast, Dave, it's been awesome. Being on Qantas, now, going to New York to interview Seth Godin, Detroit to interview Ali Redder. Like, we've interviewed some great people, but we are going to take this production, we're going to take this content to another level. So thank you for joining. Thank you for showing up again. And we are really excited to be on this journey with you to help you be the very best sales professional you can be.